blue tinge. Hi everyone and welcome to the presentation Understanding and Managing Stress for Resilience. One of the reasons why I've decided to just record this is because I've attempted to run it live now twice and for some reason it's just not working. So I will record this as if it is live. Excuse me. So let's begin by taking a collective breath in and out. I invite you to gently land in this space, knowing there's nothing to fix or prove. Today we're here to deepen our understanding of how stress and trauma responses impact our leadership. So, as if I was live anyway, what I would like you to do is, I think I've got my hair going somewhere, is to do a mood check. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling great? You're doing okay? Struggling a bit? Or feeling overwhelmed? So, just tap in the chat afterwards how you're feeling during this presentation before we get started. So this is the contents of what we will be covering today. It will take about half an hour and we'll have some questions after the sessions which you can ask me within the community. So leadership is not just about decision making, it's about being able to self-regulate, to be calm and to hold space for others. When our nervous system is under chronic pressure, it impacts everything from how we lead meetings to how we respond to challenges. Here are some statistics about stress and resilience. Stress is everywhere in today's workplace. According to recent studies, over 76% of UK employees say they feel stressed at work, and for many leaders this shows up as high functioning burnout, where we keep going, keep achieving, but inside we're exhausted. Stress affects how we show up, how we lead, how we relate to others. And without understanding the full picture, including our nervous system and trauma responses, we can find ourselves stuck in patterns that limit our growth and effectiveness. Excuse me, let me just get a drink of water. So my name is Natasha Williams and I'm a trauma-informed trauma-informed coach, and I've achieved the somatic leadership level 7 amongst some other qualifications. One of the reasons why I decided to let's go back a bit. We can just I want to share why this work matters to me so deeply and why I'm qualified to teach it. Before I became a coach, I spent 13 years working as a building surveyor. I ran my own company, led projects, managed staff, and operated in environments that were often high pressure, male dominated, and emotionally unsafe. On the outside, it looked like I was thriving, but inside, I was constantly on edge. I ignored the signs of chronic stress until it all caught up with me. When I finally saw my doctor, they told me it would take about 5 years to recover. That was the moment. It was a wake-up call for me, and it changed everything in my life. I didn't want to just survive. I wanted to understand what had happened to me and why. I went on a journey to study trauma, stress and resilience, and I retrained as a trauma-informed coach and earned certificates such as the level 7 certificate, as I mentioned earlier, in somatic trauma-informed coaching and leadership. I'm a certified brain spotting practitioner and I've got a postgraduate diploma in business psychology. I combine my academic knowledge with lived experience to build something I wish I had when I was at my lowest. I believe that healing is the foundation of sustainable achievement. So before we dive in, let's check in. Are you in the right place? If you often feel like you're always on juggling responsibility, managing others, holding everything together, this space is for you. Maybe you're dealing with burnout, decision fatigue, or you simply feel disconnected from your center. You're curious about how to lead with more calm, clarity, and compassion, and not reactivity. And even if you've never seen yourself as a leader, let me tell you this: if you're leading a team, a family, a business, or simply trying to lead yourself through difficult seasons, you belong here. Before we go deeper, let's clarify something important. Stress and trauma are related but are not the same. And this often gets mixed up in all sorts of places. Stress is often linked to external pressure, tight deadlines, financial strain, or high demands. It can be temporary and even motivating in small amounts. But trauma is what happens inside of us when an event or pattern overwhelms our ability to cope. It lives in the body and it affects how safe we feel, how we make decisions, and how we lead. Our nervous system doesn't distinguish between real danger and perceived threat. So, a difficult meeting, a harsh tone, or even our own inner critic can activate the same physiological response as a more obvious threat. That's why we talk about trauma responses like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. These responses are survival instincts. They are not flaws or failures. In the workplace, these might look like overachieving to avoid criticism, shutting down during conflict, avoiding confrontation to keep the peace, or becoming overly assertive under pressure. And here's the key: you don't need a title or position to be a leader. Leadership starts with how you show up in your own life, how you care for yourself, how you influence the space around you or the world around you, whether you're a manager, a business owner, or navigating personal change. The ability to lead yourself through stress with awareness and compassion is a powerful act of leadership. Oh, I don't know what's happening here. Let me just get another drink of water. So let's talk about stress and how stress and trauma affects your leadership, not just emotionally, but inside your body. This is where the window of tolerance comes in. It's a concept developed in trauma research that describes the zone where we function at our best: calm, focused, and responsive. When we're in this window, we can handle life's challenges without becoming overwhelmed. We might feel pressure, but we're still grounded. However, when we face too much stress or carry unresolved trauma, our window shrinks. Small triggers can push us outside, if not into hyper arousal, where we feel anxious, stressed, angry, reactive, ready to fight or flee, or hypoarousal, which you see at the bottom of the diagram there, where we shut down, feel numb, or disconnected. These reactions aren't character flaws, they're nervous system responses. And in leadership, when we're outside of our window, we struggle to think clearly, communicate effectively, or make grounded decisions. The good news is, with practice and awareness, we can expand how our window. With practice, we can expand the window, then giving ourselves more capacity to deal with pressure without tipping over. Now, let me show you another way to visualize this. Think of your nervous system like a bucket. We all have one. Every meeting, every email, every expectation adds a little more water. If we don't release the pressure, if we're not actively creating outlets, eventually that bucket overflows. And when it does, it's not just burnout, it's making decisions from survival mode, avoiding conversations, or lashing out without meaning to. That's why stress regulation isn't a luxury, it's leadership hygiene. We don't wait until the bucket is full. We build in daily practices to create space, and that's exactly what we're going to explore next. So, we've looked at the leaky bucket, how stress slowly builds up until it spills over, but there's another layer. I want to introduce one that brings in not just stress but emotional load. Let's imagine that in addition to carrying stress in a bucket, you also carry your emotions in a cup. Now, if life has been fairly stable, your cup might have a bit of space. But if you've been navigating trauma, discrimination, burnout, or even just carrying the emotional load of leading others, your cup might already be close or full before the day even begins. Then a colleague then a colleague misses a deadline. Your child needs something urgent. Someone talks over you at a meeting, or a throwaway comment hits an old wound you thought you'd healed. That tiny drop might not seem like very much, but when your cup is already full, it spills, and that spill can look like withdrawal, irritability, self doubt, or emotional shutdown. And just like with the bucket, it's not about blaming yourself, it's about recognizing your current capacity. It's 21 hours. The emotional cup helps us understand why we might overreact, underperform, or just feel off, especially when we're carrying invisible loads from past experiences. As leaders, we need to normalize this. We need to say, it's okay if my cup is full, but let's find ways to gently pour some out. And that's where emotional regulation comes in. The tools, practices, and spaces that help us process what we're carrying before we spill it into others or ourselves. So, this is how we're going to regulate in real time. So, let's pause for a moment and move from thinking to feeling. I'll guide you through three simple practices you can use anytime you're feeling stressed, tense, or overwhelmed. There's no right or wrong here, just notice what feels calming or supportive for you. So, the first one is box breathing. And what I'd like you to do here is to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold that for 4. And repeat that 3 times. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. One more time. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold that for 4. What did you notice? More space, calm, clarity? The second practice that I'd like you to do is anchoring. Place one hand on your heart and the other on your belly. Name one feeling that you have right now, even something simple like tired or curious. Then say quietly to yourself, I'm safe in this moment. Feel the support of your seat. Feel the ground beneath you. Let yourself arrive fully. The next practice is gentle movement. If you're able to, stand or stretch gently. Roll your shoulders. Shake out your hands. Whatever feels good. What does your body need right now? Just follow its lead. Of those three, breath, anchoring, or movement, which one felt the most helpful today? That's your cue. When stress builds up, come back to the one that works for you. These practices might seem simple, but they're powerful. Used regularly, they help your nervous system feel safe again, and that's what true resilience is built on. You don't need to meditate for hours. Just 30 seconds of grounding can shift your whole day. Now let's move into boundaries. Not just as a productivity tip, but not just as a productivity tip, but as a real need for your nervous system. Boundaries protect your time, your energy, and your peace. They signal to your body it's safe to rest, it's safe to pause, it's safe to put yourself first. When we push past our limits, saying yes when we mean no, staying silent when something doesn't feel right, showing up when we really need to rest, we chip away at our own emotional safety. We teach our nervous system to stay in survival mode, and over time that can lead to burnout, resentment, or even total shutdown. Emotional safety is knowing I can be myself here on the foundation of healthy leadership and the on the foundation of healthy leadership. And the good news is we don't have to wait for someone else to create that safety for us. We start by creating it within, and boundaries are one of the first steps. Leadership isn't about being available all the time. It's about being intentional. It's about knowing your limits, honoring your needs, and showing others what it looks like to lead with care and clarity. So let's take a moment to reflect. Where do you need a boundary right now? In your work or in your life to protect your well-being? And what would it look like to honour that boundary without guilt? Reframing is a powerful trauma-informed practice. It means shifting the way we interpret our thoughts, behaviours and experience from a place of judgment to one of understanding. When we're under stress or experiencing the residue of trauma, our inner dialogue can become harsh. I'm not doing enough. Why can't I just get it right? I'm too sensitive. These thoughts are not facts. They're protective responses rooted in old patterns. A trauma-informed reframe acknowledges when we've been through what we've been through without oh, struggling with the word here. Like just going over our reactions. For example, instead of saying I procrastinate too much, the reframe could be I've learned to pause and I feel overwhelmed. Now I get to choose a way, a new way, or instead of I'm failing as a leader, we say I'm learning to lead myself with more care and integrity. This isn't about bypassing reality, it's about giving ourselves a chance to heal in the way we talk to ourselves. When you shift your narrative, you shift your nervous system. And when you shift your nervous system, you expand your capacity to lead. So, as you move through this week, I invite you to notice the stories you tell yourself, where you can speak to yourself with more grace, more truth, and more encouragement, because that's where true resilience begins. When we think about managing stress, we often default to the idea that we need to overall our entire routine or make dramatic lifestyle changes. But stress reset practices aren't about doing more, they're about doing what's meaningful and manageable. You don't have to do everything. You don't need a 2 hour morning routine or a perfect meditation practice. Instead, think about what helps your nervous system feel safe, soothed, and supported. That might be taking 5 minutes in the morning to journal your thoughts, stepping outside for fresh air between meetings, breathing deeply before you respond to a triggering email or call, having no phone hour at the end of your day. Your body is always communicating with you. The question is, are you listening? The key is consistency over intensity. The nervous system responds to rhythm, not pressure. A small daily action will always have more impact than occasional big gestures. So choose between one or two practices that feel good in your body and start there. When you build these small rituals into your day, you're not just managing stress, you're building long term resilience. You don't have to do everything. Start with one thing. Choose the practice that your body says yes to, not the one that sounds the most impressive. Now we're going to bring everything we've talked about into practical reflections so you can take with you. Your stress reset plan is your personal toolkit, the patterns, strategies that support and help you to return to balance when stress arises. Start by recognizing your early warning signs. These are your red flags. Maybe it's a tight jaw, trouble sleeping, snapping at a loved one, or falling into people pleasing. Identifying them gives you power. Then choose a tool that works for you. It could be something we practice today, breath work, anchoring, movement, or personal something personal like journaling, listening to music, or setting a boundary around your time. Think about a boundary you want to strengthen. Maybe it's switching off your laptop at the maybe it's switching off your laptop at a set time or not answering your emails outside working hours. Boundaries protect your nervous system and reinforce your leadership. And finally, who's in your corner? Healing and growth happen in safe relationships. Your support system might include friends, mentors, therapists, coaches, or communities like this one. No one leads well in isolation. Take a moment now to jot down your own reset plan, one sign to look for, one tool to use, one boundary to protect, and one person or space that supports you. This plan is your personal regulation roadmap. Come back to it whenever you need a reset, a reminder, or a connection to your leadership. Here are some of the testimonials that I've had from some of my clients, my one-on-one clients, and I'll be transitioning to group coaching soon. So I just wanted you to read some of these testimonials. Um, And I remember I worked with Juliana, who was stuck with money blocks. And if you would like to upgrade, which is no pressure, if you'd like to upgrade, um, I do run a program that is 997 at the moment, and it's normally 4997. Um, but yeah, it includes live coaching, private support, and access to some tools. Within the free community, there's quite a few tools that you can use. I have been trying to do these workshops on a weekly basis, but I seem to have technical difficulty every time. But yeah, thank you for coming to this presentation, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you.